And welcome to the post-game Coach's Corner. I'm the coach, Dick Cox, joined by Toney. I was getting ready to say welcome to Two Old Farts in the Cart, but while I got the chance, I want to put a plug in for our latest edition of Two Old Farts in the Cart on YouTube on CoxSportsBroadcasting.com under Two Old Farts in a Cart Season 4, and you'll enjoy this week because Coach Toney asked the questions and I had to do the answers.
I gave the questionnaire.
All right, we're getting back tonight. Tonight was the annual Garnet and Black spring football game here at Williams-Brice Stadium for University of South Carolina as they wrap up their spring practice. And we learned a lot of things tonight. Some things we learned what they got to work on, but there were some questions answered here tonight. Was it an exciting game? Not really. Spring games are never exciting because they're more vanilla than a Joe Biden snow cone or ice cream bar there. But we had several players who stepped up and I thought played pretty well, and several players that really are going to need to work hard over the summer if the Gamecocks are going to have a good football team. Coach Toney, what was your opinion of tonight's game?
I tell you what, like you said there, Coach, it was pretty much dry there. You kind of saw what was going on. But it did give a lot of those younger kids, not Doty, but a lot of the others, an opportunity to get out and play in the game type atmosphere with a pretty large number of people there, Coach, that was here tonight. I think what we say, about 20,000, 20,000, which is good. Great experience.
And again, the game was played on a Friday night this year, on Good Friday. The baseball team played earlier this afternoon, and Coach Beamer thanked the Paul Maneri. I have struggled with that name. For moving their game to an afternoon game, and the baseball team did win today, which was good. But a good crowd turnout for a Friday night, Good Friday football game. And they were treated to a few surprises. And I'm going to tell you who my surprises were. That Luke Doty, who has been here for a long time. I think he's been here. He was probably a waiter at the Last Supper. I'll throw that one in here during the Easter week. But he's been here about 6 years. And Luke Doty saw a lot of time as a backup quarterback tonight. The Gamecocks have absolutely no experience other than Linares Sellers because you've got the transfer Aaron Nolan coming in. He's been in school maybe a semester. This is his second semester in school, coming from Ohio State. You got Cutter Wood. This is his first semester in school. Dante Reno, who is a redshirt freshman, but you've got no experience at that backup spot. If Linares Sellers, heaven forbid, were to go down with an injury, and you're playing an SEC game, much like last year when,
and that
Robbie,
LSU game, when
Robbie stepped up and came in and played good there. Luke Doty was impressive tonight. Luke Doty's stats on the night tonight, he was 3 out of 18 carries, 3 carries for 18 yards. Passing, he was 10 out of 12 for 80 yards and had an impressive touchdown with 1 second to go. He was, in my opinion right now, if I were to make a decision, which I'm not, I would pencil him in as a backup quarterback. If Linares Sellers were to go down and the Gamecocks need somebody to come in and try to win an SEC game, I put Luke Doty in a quarterback.
That's right. I'll tell you the thing, what I was impressed about Doty too there, Coach. He was one that would go around, a lot of young kids may talk to him about what they need to do to pick up their experience and all. And he said these few words right here. He said, right now, hey, enjoy the moment. Instead of looking too far down the road and behind the road, take it one step at a time. That's great advice.
I had the opportunity to ask him, Luke, you played a lot of positions here at South Carolina. You're a team player first. You played receiver, you play special teams, you played quarterback and all like that. If there's one, what do you think you're best prepared for? And he had a good answer. And even his comrade who was in there said, excellent answer there, though. He said he puts a lot in every position that he plays. Tries to be the best he can. It's an art to do with any of them. but he said there's no feeling like spinning that football, getting under center at the line of scrimmage and controlling that next play. So he's confident. If he were asked to come in and win a game at quarterback, I would feel good about it.
Hey, I would too there, Coach. And like we said, off the air there, I really like that young man because, he's enjoying the moment. He's playing hard. He's doing what I call it. He's a I am. It's not about me. It's about team. And I really look at that highly.
And my 3 words on him is he's a winner, that the guy is a winner. All right, let's say they don't go that route right there and they want to develop a quarterback. Coming out of the spring game tonight, my opinion is, based on performance tonight, I was extremely impressed with Woods tonight. Carter Woods, the way he came in and played tonight, his stats were that he was 6 out of 13 for 120 yards and had 1 interception that was ill-advised, but that kid has got a rifle for an arm.
He does.
He's poised under center, though, and I was impressed. He would be my 3rd quarterback behind Luke Doty right now, and the rest of them, in my opinion, need some work. Even though right now Shane Beamer's not naming a backup quarterback, that would be my pecking order coming out of the spring based on what I saw tonight.
Hey, you're right there, Coach. I thought Woods, I was very impressed with his technique and his coolness behind the center and, throwing the ball. He was accurate on just about every throw he made. Of course, there's a few that was missed out, and we'll blame the receivers on those.
The kid comes in the game, his first play as a Gamecock in Williams-Brice Stadium, hits on a 51-yard touchdown pass right on the money. And the receiver caught it and fell down. Should have taken it to the house.
And he caught that thing on the run, so that was a great pass.
Another question tonight that I kind of answered in my mind, Gamecocks lost everybody in the special teams department. They lost their punter, who's been here for a long time, was an All-American. They lost Herrera, their extra point field goal kicker. They lost the long snapper. They lost the holder. They lost all of the kickoff and punt return people, though. But I feel pretty good. The Gamecocks have got a redshirt freshman who worked a lot with the 2 specialists with South Carolina, Mason Love, that he had to punt a lot, but he punted tonight in the punting game. He had 8 punts and averaged 43 yards a punt. And also, they lined all the kickers up who were competing for field goals and extra points and had both teams come out and try to pressure them. They were making for 40 yards, and they had all the fans in the stands trying to pressure them in game situation. And Mason Love drilled his 40-yarder, and that went halfway up the student section. It would have been good from 60. So he's got a strong leg. I feel pretty good about that. We're going to need to find out whether he's going to punt and place kick. Right now, he's the best in those. And Coach Beamer said he'd like to develop the other guys, but he would not hesitate if he had to, to let him be a dual kicker.
I like the way they were pressing those field goals there, Coach. Like you said, the crowd was getting involved. And both of the teams were involved too, because they were right down to each side there, and the kicker had to kick that thing through. In regards to basketball, I used to do that in free throws. I used to get people on the line and start hooting and hollering and carrying on, try to distract you, but you got to keep the focus. And
you've got to do it under pressure. You can sit there and shoot 50 in a row and make them when nobody's in the gym, but when 80,000 are screaming and you're in Alabama, Tuscaloosa down there, or you're at LSU, or you're in Death Valley, and you got to make that kick to win or tie, you got to be able to make it under pressure.
You got to really have tunnel vision.
A couple other things that I was a little disappointed in tonight, though, was when Lanaris Sellers was in the game, he was running for his life, but a lot of the guys who were going to be the starting offensive linemen were on the other team. And Coach Beamer said that's one position he feels good about, was offensive line. I know they didn't get to play them because they split the teams up, and the guys that normally play together didn't get to do that tonight there, though. but he feels good about the depth of his offensive line, the players he's got there. And again, he said probably last year this team got as good as it was on the offensive line between the months of May and June, working on their own during their break time, and he's hoping to see this team put that kind of work in too.
But you know, Coach, I have to kind of disagree with you on that. You know, Sellers, I think that's when he is most dangerous, when he has to get out of the pocket and start scrambling, because he knows how to, you know, find those open receivers and all. And he's dangerous. Hopefully he'll remain healthy throughout the season.
Now, it was good tonight too from the receiver position. The guys that were really counting on, I don't think a ball was even thrown to Nick Harbor tonight. Mazio Bennett had a slight injury. He didn't play, but a lot of the young receivers and a transfer tight end named Jordan Dingle really played well tonight. We had talked with him after the game, but he was able to do some good things. I think they're going to be okay, but I'm going to tell you somebody else who caught my eye is Lenoris Sellers' little brother.
Yeah, that's right.
Had catches tonight from the receiver position. He had 3 catches for 18 yards, and he caught my eye. And, you know, I know that it's going to be kind of fun to have Sellers to Sellers. One wears 16 and the other one wears 17. But I asked Lenoris, I said, critique your brother's first performance in Williams-Brice Stadium. And he just kind of lit up on that. He said, first of all, if you're going to fair catch it there. He said, and I told him that on the field too, because there's a little indecision on whether to let it hit the ground or do that. And he said, second of all, when you catch a ball, you do not run back into the defense. You run away from them. But I love the big brotherly advice there from what he's learned from playing in the SEC.
And he's saying he told his brother that on the field. You know, it's not that just came about. He told it right out. And was truthful about it.
But I think it's going to be a lot of fun in the years to come, seeing Sellers to Sellers on that. Is this going to be a guy that they go back and reminisce to the days in the backyard playing in some of these big places they got to go to play in this year or in future years there? But other than those 3 things, those were the things that really caught my eye. You know, the Gamecocks came out of the spring game with no injuries in the game or anything. We got a chance to find out what some people can do. The young kids got to play in front of a crowd, in front of the light show, the fireworks, and all that. Now, again, like I used to have a t-shirt for my players, the big thing now is players are made during the summer.
Yeah, that's right. You're absolutely right, Coach.
That's where you make your biggest improvement as a player. And just remember this, if you're not working hard during the summer, somebody else somewhere else is, and when the 2 of you go head to head, they're going to win. So for the young players, we'll hopefully leave this with some things they learn. They'll get better, work on their own this summer, and I'll be curious to see how this team comes out when they report back to camp.
Hey, you're right there, Coach. And you know, football season will be here before you know it. That way, that time's flying by.
Reporting for Cox Sports Broadcasting and Lindy Sports, want to wish everybody a very happy and meaningful Easter season. He is risen, and again, those are things that we can be thankful for, that our sins have been forgiven and Christ is risen. Enjoy your Easter.
Happy Easter, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.